What?
Well, I mean, Raiders is my number one spot, clearly.
But you wouldn't even give Last Crusade
Temple of Doom has a lot of action scenes.
Yes, but this is not as great as
Last
Crusade.
You've got the opening scene. You've got the minecart chase. You've got the...
Trust me, it's the first one I ever saw.
The fight at the sacrificial pit. You've got the bridge scene after that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole...
That's why it got third for me.
Last third of Temple of Doom is filled with action.
Yeah, well, that's why it got
and
third
then, of
place.
course, you've got the opening scene with Club Obi-Wan. There's plenty of action going on there, too. So...
in Crystal Skull, all they have is a motorcycle chase, which was good. I enjoyed the motorcycle. That was fun.
That's actually my favorite scene in the movie.
Is there other things that happen?
Well, yeah, there's the big damn ants scene. I mean, that's an action scene.
The monkeys in the trees with the sword fighting. On
and that whole vehicle chase in there with the sword fighting and
terrible.
When he pulls out the rocket launcher and shoots the vehicle and the whole buzzsaw thing comes along there. But I mean, those scenes can't hold a candle to the action scenes in the other three films. So Crystal Skull is definitely number 4 for me. So it gets 1 point. But the other 2 spots, I think that's really, really close. I think I would have to say The Last Crusade edges out Temple of Doom, but only by a hair. You've got that whole section in there with the airplane scene and the motorcycle chase. I mean, there's a little brief interval between there where they're on the blimp and they're talking, but I mean, you've got the scene where they get captured and then setting the floor on fire, and then the motorcycle chase followed by the airplane chase, which turns into a car chase where the plane flies through the tunnel and gets its wings chopped off. And I mean, all that stuff happens pretty much consecutively, other than that little conversation they have on the blimp. So yeah, I'll go ahead and give Last Crusade the number 2 spot, and that's not even talking about.
Oh, now
the
you're changing
scene.
again.
So yeah, it would go Raiders, Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, Crystal Skull.
You pretty much did exactly what I said.
Other than you flip-flop the top 2 spots.
Top spot, yeah.
Okay.
Top 2 spots. So next one is supporting characters. Now this is going to be the bigger characters.
Basically Indy's friends. We're talking about Indy's friends here.
Or
more or less.
Elsa.
Well, no, that's an Indy girl.
Oh, that's an Indy girl. That's right.
That.
Well, it would have been if it was.
So we're talking characters like Marcus Brody, and Sala, and Short Round, and Mutt, and probably Mac. We can put Mac in there.
1 for Crystal Skull.
So, yeah.
You're doing 1 for Crystal Skull because I know you hate those 2 characters.
Last Crusade gets number 1. And I can sum that up in 2 words. Sean Connery.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Connery is the best character in an Indiana Jones film not named Indiana Jones.
Hands down.
Technically, he kind of is.
Henry
Jones.
Henry Jones.
Yeah.
Senior.
But yeah, he's easily the second best character in the entire series. No doubt about it. And then, of course, Sala and Marcus are both in that film as well, and they're both solid.
So you get the same character, 2 of the best.
You basically get the great characters from Raiders plus Sean Connery.
Yeah.
So
it's got to be. Yeah.
You get a great feast of Indy's sidekicks, essentially, all in one film. So Last Crusade wins very, very easily in that category. Second place,
Raiders.
Because you've got Saul and Marcus.
Yeah.
Well, Marcus is barely in that film, number 1.
Yes, but I really enjoyed it.
Sala turns in a great performance. Maybe arguably better than the performance he turned in Last Crusade, probably because he's in it more. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have Sean Connery.
I didn't give it number 1. Yeah. I gave it number 2. Only because Short Round's the only one that's in Temple of Doom, and I have no one in the fourth one.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good argument. So for me, Raiders would also take the number 2 spot. The number 3 spot would go to Temple of Doom.
That's what I thought.
I'm not a huge fan of Short Round, but I do like him. In fact, for those that are following my Indiana Jones movie, I'm already planning a sequel that is going to have both Short Round and Henry Jones Sr. in it. So, I mean, I obviously like the character enough to put it in my own movie. So, you know, I've got nothing against Short Round. I know some people find him really freaking annoying or
I've
just
always
a dumb
liked Short
character.
Round.
But I actually liked Short Round. I do feel that they kind of put him in the movie to try and direct it towards a younger audience a little bit more.
Because that movie's really dark.
It is, but it still feels like they made it for little kids. I mean,
No.
the score makes it feel like they made it for little kids. Just Short Round's dialogue makes it feel like they made it for little kids.
No, that was racist.
No.
That was a racist dialogue. That wasn't a little kids' dialogue. That was.
Well, we can't say that it's racist because I'm planning on doing that in my movie as well. So.
No, it's racist. You're just gonna have to be a racist.
Fine.
I don't care. I think it's gonna be hilarious.
But yeah, Short Round takes the number 3 spot. Nothing against him. I just like Marcus and I like Solid better.
There's just no one in Crystal Skull really, except for maybe
Crystal
John
Skull,
Hurt.
you've got Mutt. I didn't really like that character. I still felt that it should have been a female because in the Young Indiana Jones, it says that he has a daughter. So why didn't they just stick with that canon and go that route? I think that would have put a whole different spin
if
they would have made Mutt a female and the main villain a male, like Tote. That whole movie would have been better.
They wouldn't have made it a male because they're doing that whole.
Yes, I know.
They have to,
They have to empower women and all that nonsense.
Blah, blah, blah.
But they could have done that by making Mutt a female.
Yeah, and if the bad guy was a female, just somebody else.
I think it needed to be a male. I do. Because Indy never even gets into any kind of physical fight with the main bad guy, and I think that's one of the reasons.
Why can't you just get a female that can fight?
You could do that too. Something. But I think it should have been a guy with Mutt being a female. But
I'm
anyway,
saying
that's neither here nor there.
Female,
We're here
anyways,
to evaluate
there's
what
nothing,
we were given.
There's nothing in
But
Crystal Skull.
you've got Mutt, not that great of a character.
Just said that.
You've got Oxley, not that great of a character. Even though I love John Hurt,
As I was saying, I love John Hurt.
He just didn't have a whole lot to work with in that film.
There's not enough.
And then you've got Mac, who is arguably the worst character in an Indiana Jones movie ever.
Yes, that is.
And not because Ray Winstone is a bad actor. Ray Winstone is actually a good actor. But the writing for the character of Mac was absolutely horrible. The fact that he would just flip-flop and flip-flop and flip-flop, it pissed me off. And the fact that he's
I disagree so fully with you on this because I think Willie is the worst character because Mac, he's out for himself. He's going to change.
Willie is much more annoying than Mac.
He's going to change his side, just like the guy on Survivor. He kept flip-flopping because whatever he felt was best for him.
Yeah, but the problem is they gave Mac a backstory that gave him a history with Indy that went back 10 years.
If he's a liar like some people's friends I know, then he's going to, be able to do that. I don't see anything wrong with him being friends with Indy and flip-flopping like that.
Yeah,
He's
and
just
Indy
out
always
for
is
himself.
gullible, just kind of like me. He always trusts the wrong people.
Yes, you do.
I don't know.
Continuing.
I just didn't buy it, but I do agree with Shan Chan. That one's at the bottom just because, is Mac more annoying than Willie Scott?
This isn't scoring who has the worst character winning.
Yeah, it's more like
who has somebody
the
good.
best group of characters.
And the fourth movie has 0.
One of the problems with the fourth movie is that basically all the backup characters were bad. You didn't have Marcus because Denholm Elliott has passed away. The new dean of the college was okay, but he didn't really bring anything to the table. And then you've got
Sean Connery had retired.
Yeah, Sean Connery had retired, and then you've got a slew of backup characters that are just boring and uninteresting. So that's why that one gets the bottom spot. I still think Willie's the most annoying
John
character.
Hurt was, the best-ish that we had. But like he said, there wasn't really much to go off.
That's another thing that makes the film suffer is you just don't have any really good side characters.
So, all right. So we agree fully across the board on that one.
Across the board, we agree on that one.
So the next category is musical score.
Best musical score.
I'm not going to be really intelligent on being able to tell you. I'm just going to be did I feel good about the best.
Well,
he's going to be able to tell you word for word
nitpicker
the names
on the scores. And I might get some hate mail for this, but sorry, Last Crusade wins.
Yep, I was going to say that.
a lot of people feel that Raiders actually has the best score, and of course it's got the Raiders March, but
It's
Last
got
Crusade
Marion's
has the
theme.
and Marion's theme, and it's also got the theme for the Ark.
Yeah, I like those, but
And I actually
Last
use
Crusade
that in my
has so
movie.
much more, though.
Last Crusade has more, and that's why Last Crusade wins.
Yeah.
Last Crusade also has the Raiders March, obviously. It's got the score they play during the boat chase, which is fantastic.
Are you giving Raiders second place?
Let me finish. It's got the score for the motorcycle chase, which is also fantastic. The music for both Indy's dad and the Grail is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite music of all time, maybe even better than the actual Raiders March itself.
Oh, I would agree.
I just absolutely love that music that they're playing there at the end. Especially that little score that they play when Indy comes back with the cup right before he pours it on his dad's gunshot wound. Oh, that gets me every time. And Marcus crosses himself. Oh, God, I love that scene. Especially since my dad passed away. That scene just about makes me cry because I wish I could have done that for my father. Anyway, moving on.
No, second place.
Second place,
I say Raiders.
I say Raiders as well.
Because it does have the songs that you
Yeah,
previously
I mean,
listed.
the
They're very
argument is
enjoyable.
basically which scores better, Raiders or Last Crusade. Last Crusade wins by a decent margin, but Raiders is a solid second place because of all the reasons that we just listed, all those different things.
And then I'll say my third place would probably, I think might have been Crystal Skull, actually. Because I just really didn't feel that the music had much substance in Temple of Doom. I don't think of the music. And it's not that I liked the Crystal Skull's music, I just remember it more than Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom, I don't think of music when I think of that movie.
Okay, I do.
Other than the
So,
annoying first song.
I'm going to give you a cross argument on that. Crystal Skull gets last place for me because I honestly hardly remember any of the music from that movie. Even though it's from John Williams, it was a pretty forgettable score. The only thing that isn't in some of the other films is the music for the actual Crystal Skull, where it's just doo 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 doo. I mean, that's a decent piece of music for the Crystal Skull. But for Temple of Doom, you've got the opening Anything Goes song, which isn't great, but at least it's something.
Yeah, but it's
You've also
terrible.
got Short Round's theme, which is very memorable, and the actual Temple of Doom music itself. Dun dun dun. I
don't know, I just didn't care for that music as much. The Short Round's theme was kind
Yeah,
of
but it's
hokey-ish.
themes that you can remember, and Short Round's theme was a little hokey-ish, but it's meant to be hokey-ish because
I
it's the theme for a little kid.
I understand that, but I actually did kind of enjoy the Crystal Skull music. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we can disagree.
See, and they didn't get in last place
Yeah,
again.
look at that. Look at that, folks.
He just has no faith in me.
Okay, did you already score all that?
Yep.
Okay, moving on.
All right, so now best artifacts.
Best artifacts.
Oh,
This is another tough
all
one.
completely together, you know.
Yeah. Well, most of the films have multiple artifacts.
Yes, that's why I put S after
Yeah,
artifacts.
so we've got the main artifact for the Lost Ark, which is obviously the Lost Ark. Big surprise there. But you've also got the Fertility Idol, which is really cool, and the Staff of Ra headpiece, which is also really cool.
Last Crusade, #1 for me. Sorry.
Last Crusade, you've got the Cross of Coronado, which, you know, even though I don't like the opening scene, that's an excellent artifact, and it is in my collection, as most of you know, since my
Always.
Indiana Jones prop collection is one of my most popular videos on my YouTube channel.
Actually, I think Raiders might have
should
#1.
Henry Jones Sr.'s diary be classified as
Yeah,
an
that's what I
artifact?
was just thinking. Cause I was first originally
It's a
counting that.
great prop replica piece. But is it actually an artifact? No.
No,
It's
I have
not-
to change
It's
my.
not hundreds of years old.
I said #1 because I was thinking the diary, and
Yeah.
I actually it's.
But it's not an artifact.
Yep.
Even though it's one of the things that drives that movie because it's exchanging hands all the time. Somebody's always after it. You know, the good guys have it, and
It
the bad
feels
guys have
like
it. The
an
good guys try to get
artifact.
back again, and it goes through an Indiana Jones story as if it were an artifact,
But it's not.
but it's not. So do we really want to classify it in this particular argument?
We could do the tablets as an artifact.
Yes, the Knight's Shield and the tablet that Donovan dug up would be considered artifacts. And then, of course, you've got the Grail Cup.
The horde of Grail Cups.
Yes, the horde. Technically, they're all artifacts.
Yeah.
But do they really add anything to the story? Well, no, not really.
Mm-mm.
They just make it more.
They're
difficult.
great.
They just make it more difficult to pick the actual Grail Cup. So, if we're talking about artifacts,
yeah, Raiders.
I think Raiders needs to take the cake on that one.
Yes.
And then you've got second place. Now, you know, in Last Crusade, you've got the Cross of Coronado, and you've got
No, that's
Grail
solid
Cup.
second place.
Well, what about Temple of Doom?
What about it?
Temple of Doom has the Eye of the Peacock.
Oh my
the
gosh,
jewel
I
at
forgot the
very
beginning.
And the Nurhachi urn, which is also at the beginning. And the Sankara stones.
Sankara stones are kind of bland.
They are kind of bland, but it's still an artifact. My favorite artifact from that movie is actually the Nurhachi urn. I thought that urn was super cool, and that's also in my collection. I just thought that urn was cool.
Last Crusades gets second place for me.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to have to agree. You're talking about the Holy Grail of Holy Grails. You know, when people think artifacts, they think the Holy Grail. So,
And the Cross of Coronado and the
Cross of Coronado is also a fantastic piece. Yeah. So even though, you know, Temple of Doom has some pretty interesting artifacts, all of them, other than the Sankara stone, are in that opening scene, and then you never see them again. So, yeah. I will go ahead and agree on that.
So your scores are the same as mine? And
Yep.
the
Raiders
Crystal Skull was just...
Raiders being first, Last Crusade being second.
Temple
Third place.
Third place.
Well, let's talk about Crystal Skull for a minute. Are there any artifacts in
Other
that
than the
movie
skull?
other than the Crystal Skull?
No.
I can't think of one.
No, there isn't. Because the opening scene's them getting the skull. And then that's it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the other things that makes the movie suffer a little bit. There's no additional artifacts. There's no extra action there trying to obtain other artifacts. Everybody's got their eyes just fixed on this one thing, and there's not really anything else going on there. I mean, Temple of Doom, none of them are actually really after the artifacts other than Mola Ram. I mean, Indy's just kind of there to save the kids and, you know, stop the cult and all that crap. The artifacts are kind of
A side note.
not really a priority in that movie.
I don't think the town even expected them to
And
bring
I
it back.
think that Crystal Skull is a much more interesting artifact than anything that's in Temple of Doom.
Blah.
I said it's more interesting.
No.
I didn't say it made the movie awesome.
No, I'm not saying
interesting.
more interesting either. No. It did not interest me at all. As soon as... No.
Well, I actually like the Crystal Skull. I like it as an artifact. I like it as a piece. I like the mystical legends that surround it and all that stuff. And there is no argument that it drives the story. It definitely drives the story. Do the artifacts in Temple of Doom drive the story?
Now, wait. You were just saying the stuff about the Crystal Skull. Are you saying the stories of the Crystal Skull in real life? Because they're two completely different things,
the Hotchkiss skull or whatever it is. I actually watched...
They're completely different things.
Well...
One's an alien skull and one is an actual crystal skull.
It was supposed to be based on that with a twist.
No.
Like in other Indiana Jones movies.
No. Mm-mm. BS. I think they just stole an idea from a real item and just, that's it.
Well, they actually say that in a section of the movie, that it's the Hotchkiss skull, which is what they think they're after. So they...
It's not.
Well, I'm going to...
You can see what it looks like, though, and it's not all
No, it's
Conehead.
not. The actual crystal skulls that are out there look like regular skulls. They don't look like alien
If they were
skulls.
going to make it that skull, then they should have made it a regular
They
skull
just
and
put the
just
Indiana
put it in
Jones
an
twist
alien.
on it like they do for other artifacts.
I may hate aliens, but they could have done aliens and still made me at least enjoy that movie.
Well, I'm going to give Crystal Skull the number 3 spot for that, just because...
Oh, you're changing it?
I think that...
Okay.
You know, in spite of the fact that Temple of Doom has more artifacts, none of them are as interesting as the Crystal Skull, and none of them drive the story as much as the Crystal Skull does. So, I'm going to give Crystal Skull the number 3 spot based on that, and Temple of Doom takes the last spot simply because you could have made the Temple of Doom story without a single artifact in it, and pretty much told the exact same story. So, yeah. Now, what's cool is they take some of those artifacts in the Temple of Doom and put them in other things. Like, there's an entire episode of Young Indiana Jones on the Eye of the Peacock, which makes it more interesting. They touch on the Nurhachi urn in the video game Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, which adds to the story and the Indiana Jones lore there. But as far as the actual Temple of Doom movie, they just did nothing with those pieces, which was kind of disappointing. Anyway, moving on.
Okay. So we disagree on the last place. Alright, so here's a category you didn't really want to talk about. Best special effects.
Yeah. This is one that
And I'm
Shan
disagreeing with
insisted
him
that we
highly.
have on this category. All
Just
3 of the
because-
first Indiana Jones movies did practical effects.
Just because they used... that doesn't make 4 better. It was horrible, especially for when it was made.
Yeah. My argument before we started shooting this was that Crystal Skull could potentially win this one hands down simply because it's the only one of the 4 that has CGI in it.
No,
we're
CGI
not
does
talking-
not make it better.
We're not talking about CGI. We're talking about effects that improved the quality of the film. That's what we're going to
Jumanji,
talk
which
about
was
here.
made way earlier than Crystal Skull, had better monkeys than Crystal Skull.
The effects in that movie were also pretty crappy, but it still made it an awesome movie. Anyway,
That's what I'm
not
saying.
we're talking
It
about
doesn't
here.
make it better because they use CGI. In fact, if they used practical, Crystal Skull might have even been better.
Yeah, and they're actually talking about doing that in the 5th movie just to kind of make it go back to its roots.
I mean, look at the Jurassic
But,
Park movies where
mo-
they used more CGI.
Most of the
it got
scenes in
worse.
Crystal Skull where they did CGI were not very good. Like when Indy blows up the vehicle and the buzzsaw comes over the top, and I mean that looked really fake.
No, the monkeys were probably the worst.
Yeah, we don't even need to talk about the monkeys because everybody already knows about the monkeys.
The ants were stupid.
The ants were okay for me.
No, it was terrible.
You know, I don't really care whether that was a CGI or practical effect.
Well, it didn't need to be practical. It just needed
yeah.
to not be in the movie and have something else. It was ridiculous.
Well, which movie has the best special effects? You're the one that made the category.
Yeah.
Which one takes the number 1 spot?
I'm thinking. I think Last Crusade.
Reasoning?
Because, yes, they got the tearing of hearts at the Temple of Doom, which is great, but you can tell it's very fake.
Well, yeah.
Um,
Most of them you can tell that it's fake, but it's more of,
yeah,
you know,
but
how
it's,
does it
it's
drive
still
the story?
really well done. I mean, it creeped me out when I was a kid.
I mean, you can tell the CGI is crap too, but I mean, are we going to go by the crappiest special effects, or are we going to say
No, the best
did they
special
properly use the special effects to drive the story?
I thought Last Crusade had the best special effects.
That scene where Donovan grows old in a span of 30 seconds or whatever.
It was amazing.
I mean, yeah, you can tell that, you know, it's obviously not CGI, and
Are you agreeing
you can
then?
tell that it's an effect, but oh man, the first time I saw that freaked me out. Same thing with the faces melting at the end of
That's why Raiders
Raiders
gets
you
2,
know.
is because of, that stuff like that.
But they actually used a whole lot of practical effects during the tank scene as well, and the airplane chase had practical effects as well, and for that scene you can barely even tell that the practical effects are there.
The special effects is them not wearing pants and in the blimp.
Yeah, some people might not get that reference,
Oh.
so yeah.
Sorry. I
Yeah,
think
the
Last
scene where they're
Crusade,
talking
hands down.
in the blimp, Sean Connery and Harrison Ford are not wearing pants. Look it up if you didn't know that.
So I think Last Crusade hands down wins first place for me.
Yeah, you've also got the funky effects with the
Yes,
the 3 booby traps
Yes.
at the end there, which
Exactly.
were also very well done. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and agree The Last Crusade has the best effects. And, geez, those other 2 spots.
Raiders, and then Temple of Doom,
Well,
close.
you've got the Temple of Doom. I mean, they literally blew up that bridge for practical effect. And had a whole bunch of dummies falling down the cliff that were like flicking.
Yeah, they had motorized.
Yeah.
They motorized the dummies.
A ton of work went into that scene, and that's not even counting the minecart chase. which
Ooh,
was,
I forgot about the
which was
minecart
also all
chase.
practical effects.
But there was some really bad, there was bad CGI.
Yeah, when they're on the side of the cliff and the water's coming out, that's not great.
Or when, doesn't Short Round for a split moment become Stretch Armstrong too?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was kind of weird. So yeah, I'm sorry, Raiders. I thought they executed it better, fully throughout the movie.
A lot of that wasn't even effects; it was just good stunt work. I mean, all the Marion's bar fight scene, that was all just good stunt work with the very
The snakes.
controlled flames in there and everything.
The snakes.
The snakes were all real.
All real.
So I mean, I would consider that a practical effect.
Because they had the glass
you've got
window
the whole,
between him and the Cobra, and
they built that airplane from scratch for the airplane fight scene. They built that whole thing from scratch.
that was great.
So and of course the opening temple scene, all that was built from scratch.
there you go.
So
Raiders.
yeah, I'll go ahead and give Raiders the second spot.
Temple of Doom is close.
Yeah, based on all the arguments that we just made for Temple of Doom, I would give Temple of Doom the third spot, followed by Crystal Skull. Crystal Skull gets the last place, not because it has CGI or sloppy CGI, but because they didn't properly use the special effects to tell the story. They didn't drive the story. The special effects did not enhance the movie.
No.
In fact, sometimes it did the opposite.
Well, they used practical effect for the snake to get Indy out of the quicksand.
I do love that scene.
And even though I liked that scene, I didn't think that it was a very good effect. I thought that was even done poorly, and that was a practical effect.
I mean, you've got the CGI with the monkeys, which some would
no,
say
I'm,
is the
I'm
worst.
talking about the actual snake with the quicksand.
Yes, I know.
The effect was poorly done, even though that's a practical effect. Do you agree? Or disagree?
I didn't have any problems with that scene.
I just thought I'm just trying to make a point of, even the practical effects were poorly done in that movie. It just felt like they were rushing it to get out a movie to try to please people.
Yeah, but the effects that they used in that scene did not ruin the scene. I like that scene.
It
So
doesn't
whether
say
whether the effects were poor or not, it actually enhanced the movie for me in that particular scenario.
Okay.
The monkeys
We have two more.
ruined that scene.
Okay.
The CGI ruined that scene. Should never have even been made. I don't know how long it took them to CGI all those frickin' monkeys and everything, but that was a frickin' waste of time.
Oh, it probably didn't take very long by the looks of them.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why Crystal Skull is getting the last spot, just because none of the effects improved the story. All the CGI they did, they were mostly shooting themselves in the foot with those special effects and ruining the movie rather than enhancing the movie.
Even the end with the spaceship and everything.
Yeah.
Just,
The other three movies are better because more effort went into the effects, and the effects drove the story. Whether the effects were poor, I mean, some of them
Temple of Doom has some poor effects too. I mean, like the dinner scene.
They don't stand the test
the
of time.
dinner scene does not look very good, and that didn't enhance crap.
Yeah, I hated that scene. I could have done without that scene.
It drew your attention away from the
exposition. Most people don't even remember the conversation that Indiana Jones is having during that scene because they're all busy getting grossed out. So it actually detracted from the movie.
Yeah. So
but
even
Crystal
if it was
Skull
done
had a
well,
whole
it still
bunch of
detracts.
examples of that.
Yeah.
So I mean that's kind of the point.
All
I'm trying
right,
to make
two more categories.
All right.
Next is best costume design. This one's going to be.
This is another one that is difficult to talk about, but Chan really wanted it on there.
I feel
Which
it's
one
important.
has the best costumes? I mean, you could make an argument for Crystal Skull here because they did a really good job of nailing the 50s, especially when it comes to costumes.
They did. I agree, and I think that it is in the running for sure.
And we're not just talking the main characters; we're talking all of the scenes,
all the extras,
like the dining room scene where they get into that fight, which is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Total 50s. Everything in there was total 50s.
And I agree, they did great.
Yeah. So
that's a good high running there.
Yeah.
You got Raiders, which had a lot less. I mean, it had the natives in the beginning.
Yeah.
It had Marion's dress.
Yeah. Elsa had better dresses.
Elsa had way better outfits than Marion.
Yeah, if we're talking about main characters,
well, we have to include
Elsa takes the cake for me as having like the best costumes in probably the entire series.
Last Crusade has the better Sala costume, I feel.
Of the two Salas, yes. He was better dressed in that one. And then, of course, you've got Henry Jones's outfit, which is great.
Oh, yes.
As far as Indiana Jones, everybody knows I'm an Indiana Jones cosplayer.
Which
I'm making a
Indiana
freaking
Jones
movie.
is best?
I like the Raiders outfit.
Raiders?
That's a Raiders jacket. This is a Raiders jacket. I just like that look. I like the darker jacket. I like the hat with the nice deep pinch in it. But I also like the Last Crusade hat, which is this one, because it's got the curls on the sides and it kind of looks like a cowboy hat, and I've always liked cowboy hats. So for me,
overall,
it's always a toss-up between those two hats.
Is the shoes different between the movies?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, the shoes are pretty much the same.
Pants.
The whip changes for everyone, but that's not really a costume design. That's a prop.
No, I'd say that's part of the costume.
I mean, if you look
It's a prop when he doesn't wear
his
it.
costume in Crystal Skull, the jacket is much lighter. The pants are much lighter. His gun is even different. It's nickel plated. All the other movies, he has a dark gun.
I don't know. The fourth one to me felt like somebody who didn't know how to do cosplay very well doing Indiana Jones.
I do really like the Crystal Skull hat as well, which I'm also wearing in my film. This one is probably going to be worn in the next film, just because it's the Last Crusade hat, and Indy's dad is going to be in it, and I just feel...
What movie is mine from?
That's a Temple of Doom hat. John felt that her face shape and everything would look best with the Temple of Doom hat. It was a toss-up for me between a Temple of Doom and a Last Crusade for you. So, anyway, that's getting a little off topic.
It's about costumes.
And then, of course, you've got all the thuggies in Temple of Doom and their costumes, and then you've got the Indian costumes.
Molaram.
And then you've got Indy's tuxedo and all the fancy schmancy costumes that you see in Club Obi-Wan.
I would personally probably choose... gosh, this is really hard. I think that Raiders actually is probably last on my list. It gets last place for me. Just because the things you just said, all those different reasons.
Yeah.
There's just less...
I think you could actually make an argument that Temple of Doom might have the best costumes just because of the array of costumes that they had to make for the film. You've got the thuggies. You've got, Willie's dress. Whew, that was a fantastic dress. In fact, they almost lost it because an elephant ate part of it. They had to do like emergency repairs on that dress to make that work.
Because
that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons that the dress is backless, because the elephant ate the back out of it. But anyway, Indy's tuxedo looked great. All the costumes in Club Obi-Wan looked great. The opening dance number, even though I hate it, had fantastic costumes. The Prince.
The Prince had elaborate costumes.
Chittar Law's costume was good. And then you've got the British military guys that come in, and all their costumes were great.
Molaram's is great. And the natives, the Indian native...
Short Round's costume is also fantastic.
Yeah.
I think I'd actually put Temple of Doom at number 1 when we're talking about costumes. Not because one costume is better than the other, but because of the array of costumes that they had to make. All the different kinds of outfits they had to make. From, Short Round's ratty outfit to Willie Scott's $1,000 dress, and everything in between. I think that movie just really did a great job with the costumes.
I would have to actually agree.
Second place, I think I might actually give that to Crystal Skull. You've got